Chapter 6. Living the Wrong Life. Corin finds himself sitting aimlessly in his car at the first aid station, without goal, without mission.
Only one accompanying person only. Sorry.
The busy, annoyed voice of the Lenaid worker still rings in his ears. As her triple partner, Perjan is of course Chiron's primary emotional support. Corin feels physically exhausted after everything that happened today. Evren's blackout after the biology exam. Her revelations about Pris, Chiron's injury.
What just happened here?
The back-to-back events form a chain of emotional nodes that swerve around in his mind and lead to where?
Pris. I have to talk to Pris.
His arm clip shows no new message in her response line. He types,
Hi, sweetie. All good. I really need to talk to you.
heart. There is an immediate response.
Meet at Porter Junction Junkyard. We'll be there getting my Xerox fixed.
Corin is relieved to hear from her. He looks over to the entrance of the first aid station, then types,
I'll be there in an hour.
heart. Corin does not expect an answer. Like Pris and many other teenagers, Corin could not afford long chit-chats on Call Me, the only global platform for social media. Their services are expensive because of their energy-hungry apps and servers, but everyone wants to be on CM. Corin muses,
Grand Ama told me she could call people over landlines. Apparently, she could use a telephone to talk to her friends for hours. Crazy.
After a while, Chiron and Perjan emerge from the first aid station. The tall crow seems to have gained his balance again. He even smiles at Perjan as they approach the car arm in arm.
So, did they fix you up?
Corin's voice carries a nervous edge.
The aid worker said he shouldn't practice or play for at least 2 days.
Perjan explains. She lowers her voice.
And he needs to follow a concussion rehab protocol for the next 2 weeks.
Corin's face turns to stone. His petrified expression is clearly written across his face.
No Chiron in the finals.
Corin closes his eyes, slumping back into his seat. A moment later, he straightens up again and grips the steering wheel.
Fine.
He growls to himself.
I'll do it myself then. Let's get him home.
He tells Perjan, accelerating the car onto the street. A random passerby would have wondered about the resolute stare under his furrowed brows. The Caseton Junkyard is a living history of the evolution of personal vehicles. Different piles of rusted car frames and smashed cars form a mountain range of junk. In their valleys, storage shacks with sorted replacement parts dot the landscape. On the bottom of the piles, the crushed headlights of old combustion cars peek sorrowful out under heaps of car doors, rusted hoods and slivers of fuselage. On top of them, the hybrids, more bullish and rounder, while the top and sides of the piles are covered with more recent car remains. Their AI-designed spoiler and carbon fiber frames stick out of the piles like tentacles. Corin slowly drives through the entrance of the junkyard and spots Pris's Xerox. The car looks like it will join its brothers and sisters on the pile soon. Leaning at its side, Pris is talking to a crow mechanic. As Corin approaches, the crow explains his work.
Should be also good to go. The Canva slicer is okay as is.
He looks over his shoulder at the nearing footsteps and grins in recognition.
Hey, you're the Caseton center fielder.
He barks.
Don't let me down on Sunday. I got 50 riding on your team.
The crow mechanic grins, throwing a rag in an open barrel. Without waiting for an answer, he gathers his tools and stuffs them rather carelessly into a metal box. Looking at Pris, he inquires,
"Okay, we're good here."
Yeah, all good.
Pris replies.
Thanks, Crow.
Pris pats him on his back and turns to Corin. Remembering something else, she turns back to the mechanic.
Oh, and tell Erlen. No, made up my mind, can't do it.
Will do.
The crow nods casually as he sorts his tools. With a mischievous smile, Pris winks at Corin and says,
Let's take a ride in my brand new Xerox.
She beams with joy over her fixed car and quickly gets in to start the engine.
Hey, wait.
Corin raises his hand, but Pris already accelerates toward the exit.
Catch me if you can.
Pris shouts through the open window and speeds away. Corin shouts out in frustration.
Oh, damn you, Ama. Not again.
The crow mechanic laughs heartily at Corin's outcry and yells after him.
Go and get her, son. That one's a keeper with the right line at her side.
Corin runs toward his car, trying not to lose sight of Pris. Finally, he catches up to her at the Porter on-ramp, beating a yellow traffic light. Both cars speed up the ramp and join the heavy traffic on the city freeway.
Where is she going?
Corin is unsure as Pris heads for the Continental Thruway.
Lacoste?
He frowns inside.
There is nothing in Lacoste.
He recalls the Lacoste district as sprawling rows of neat houses, dotted with symmetric malls and utility centers. He follows Pris as she weaves through traffic, bullying her way past AI-driven trucks and cars. After a while, the traffic slowly subsides and big, heavy overland rigs with huge containers make up most of the traffic. Corin anxiously checks his battery load, thinking,
One more off-ramp. Then there is only open wilderness until Dushama. What the hell's Pris?
Corin signals Pris with his lights and raises his hands questioningly. Pris motions to the right with her hand.
Okay, next exit.
Corin sighs to himself.
Last exit.
He relaxes a little, but with Pris he never knew. He would not be surprised to see Pris drive straight on until her car's battery runs out. Leaving the off-ramp, Pris turns onto a road that links a small town to the city highway system. On the outskirts of the small town, the Chirox finally pulls into a car charging station. Pris parks the car in the parking space overlooking a wide valley filled with acres of cornfields. In the distance, rolling hills are sprinkled with bushes and small trees, while the setting sun illuminates red mountain peaks on the horizon. Corin parks next to the Chirox and steps out into the evening heat. The rear of the Chirox is stuffed full with different size boxes, suitcases, and clothes. Walking toward each other, their unspoken realities link, and at the same time divide them. Their first words are shackled by that knowledge.
Whatever I can do.
I'm so sorry,
Pris.
Corin.
Corin starts anew.
Yeah, sweetie, I love you. We'll get through this, I promise.
Corin is in arm's reach now, and he pulls her in for a tight embrace.
Don't promise, Corin.
Pris says.
It's okay.
Corin hears her resolved, yet resigned undertone, and panic spreads in his thoughts.
And you're sure you're pregnant?
He asks.
Have you been to first aid station?
No, don't have to.
Pris briskly replies.
The first pregnancy test 2 moons ago was negative, but here I am.
She meekly spreads her arms, frowning at the free medical support.
So much for first aid diagnosis.
She snorts but continues quietly.
It's been 4 moons and I change physically.
Instinctively, she cradles her womb, embarrassed to talk about her most personal body functions to someone of a different gender.
Okay, I believe you.
Corin quickly cuts her off. He was not raised to have a specific interest or even knowledge of the life cycles of other genders. Grappling with the physical pain and mood shifts during his own periodic renewal is enough for him to worry about.
And I will carry my child.
Pris says with unyielding determination. She knows she can still abort at her stage, but the sin of wasting a life that could help the community survive is hardwired in her social upbringing. She also wants to satisfy her primal urge as the only gender able to give birth.
Oh, of course.
Corin instantly agrees.
It's your decision.
He never even thought about changing Pris's mind. For him, like many others today, an Amma has full authority over her body, a position that has been challenged in many historical societies.
So,
Corin carefully treads the new grounds.
you will become an Ame mother.
He states.
And I'm the Crow father.
He frowns and fixes Pris's eyes.
Am I?
Yes, you are the dad.
Pris answers, offering Corin a weak smile.
Then Evelyn is the land mother, right?
Pris stares into the distance, acknowledging.
Yes, she is.
Behind Pris's cold, resolved look, Corin senses her thoughts about her uncertain future.
We can make it, Pris.
Make what, Corin?
Pris says curtly, burying her hands into her hoodie pockets.
Make a happy family? Crow, I have barely enough money for myself, okay? I cannot support both Ave and you.
She stares down at her feet and continues.
Where will we live? With your parents? Everins? Definitely not mine. The city is too expensive for a family home, so where do we go?
She looks up at Corin and says,
Yes, out in the woods? That's where we'd live. In some small housing complex with affordable rent.
Corin starts to catch a small glimpse of the complexities of real life.
I could work
and help out with the rent.
He offers meekly,
And Everin could work at one of the university's research institutes. She jobbed there before.
Pris vehemently shakes her head. Her braids are flying around her neck.
No, no way that I lead you two down my path. You have a 1 in a million chance to get disgustingly rich with Discore. I will not stand in your way.
Corin wants to reply, but Pris talks over him.
And Everin, wasting her talent on being a teenage mom? She's so smart, even for a Len. She needs to go to the university. I will not stand in her way either.
Everin blew the exam.
Corin quietly tells her. Pris is stunned.
What? How?
She asks.
She worked for weeks on that. What happened?
Corin freezes inside. How could he tell her that she may be the reason? Pris searches for answers in Corin's face. In this silence, Corin watches her expression slowly change into understanding and finally into acceptance. Agitated, she takes a few steps forward and looks over the valley, breathing deeply. She puts her hands behind her head, lifts her face up to the sky and lets out a blood-curdling scream that summarizes all her pain and anguish, all her lost past and unsure futures. Instinctively, Corin looks around if anyone notices her strange behavior. He steps forward and silently waits at her side. Pris sniffs, rubbing away her tears with her forearm.
Poor F.
She sighs.
I hope she can make it up somehow.
Corin nods vividly.
Yeah, sure, Everin is smart, right?
He tells Pris.
She will have some school counseling and protocols to follow, but she'll get back up on her feet.
School counseling?
Pris asks, wondering where she heard that before.
Yeah, you know,
Corin says.
Reports on her progress, her aims and goals, all that crap. Supervised learning, more or less. She can do it.
I hope so.
Pris muses.
I really hope so.
Pris recalls stories of students who were smothered by the goodwill of school counseling, in the end dropping out just to get away.
About the other thing.
Corin needs to distract himself from the feeling that there could be a future without Pris in it.
Yeah, them.
Pris sighs.
I can talk to Taryn.
Corin offers.
She may still have connects to the ecos.
Pris shakes her head resolutely.
No, don't.
She says.
Taryn was lucky enough to get out of her trouble with the feds. I bet they still monitor her, so she is not part of this deal. She has her own agenda.
Corin is surprised that Pris obviously knows more about his sister Taryn than he does.
But what can we do?
Corin is determined to help Pris. In his state, he would have stormed the ECOS headquarters if they had one.
You can do nothing right now.
Pris puts her hands on Corin's shoulder and locks her eyes with his.
Corin, I will be away for some time.
What?
I will have my baby somewhere else.
What?
Corin, I love you and Av, but I have a different life now.
What?
Pris silences Corin by kissing him. Then she takes his head in his hands, pressing his forehead against hers.
Trust me.
She whispers.
I know what I'm doing. I have to go off the grid for a while. Down in Doshama, I know people. Good people.
Corin wants to break free, but she grabs his head even tighter and tells him,
I will be fine. Don't ruin your future by fighting for a lost cause.
Corin is too shocked to fully comprehend the true meaning of her words yet.
But, Pris?
One last futile attempt in a lost battle. The tears that trickle down his cheeks are Corin's final cue to lay down all arms. Pris' reassuring smile radiates a sage-like serenity as she softly whispers,
I will be fine.
She pulls him in for a last kiss, then gently collects a tear with her finger. Cherishing the taste on her lips, she says,
I'll taste your love again.
Pris lets go of him and walks back to her car without turning back. Corin, unable to move, watches her braids swing back and forth. Rivers of bitter tears flood down his face, reddening his eyes. Pris' figure vanishes in a blurred haze of tears. The car engine starts with a high-pitched whine that pierces Corin's ears. The wheels scrape over little pebbles on the old concrete as Pris steers the car past him. The last thing he sees through the car window is Pris's fist pressed against her heart. The old Chiroc swerves onto the road and accelerates hard. Its bulky outline soon merges with the scenery, a single car driving down a winding road. In the distance, gray clouds engulf the mountain range. It looks like rain. Corin still gazes down the road where he last saw Pris's car. His arms hang lifelessly at his sides and his head sinks slowly to his chest. He feels the evening winds pick up, cooling the lingering warmth from the concrete parking lot. Instinctively, he clenches his fists as he raises his head. With a final glance into the dusk, he turns around and walks back to his car.
Take me home.
Corin tells the AI as he lets himself fall into the driver's seat.
And play some music.
He adds. His personal AI syncs with the car and calculates the statistical probabilities of Corin's diurnal behavior, recent voice communications, and physiological body indices. 200 milliseconds later, it advises a playlist to the car's AI. In his morning, Corin does not recognize the song at first. Sea, Earth, and Fire.
Turn that off.
Corin yells at the top of his voice. The music stops immediately. Resignation turns to anger against his personal AI.
You stupid piece of shit. Never ever play that again. I'll fry your circuits.
Disgusted, he rips off his arm clip and hurls it to the floor.
I'll drive.
He grabs the steering wheel and accelerates. His personal AI records his present behavior in its training subsets. Maintaining its current non-involvement seems to be the most probable course of action. It sends a memo out to the respective AI forum, stating the reoccurrence of such a phenomenon. Corin's anger seeks new targets, but finds none. After a while, the steady low hum of the engine quietens his thoughts.
Pris, do you really know what you're doing?
He thinks worriedly.
Who are these good people you know?
His mind already races through the streets of Dushama in search of her. And his baby.
My baby.
He smiles to himself.
Our baby. Will it be a crow? I wouldn't mind a little crow, right? I could show him how to throw the kid discs, and...
A warm smile lights up Corin's face. Visions of Pris, Evren, and him, a little crow playing at their feet.
Evren, how can I tell her?
Corin thinks.
She'll pop for sure, when I tell her that Pris is gone. She mustn't know.
At the same moment, he realizes the futility of that idea. Like a hydra multiplying its heads, his thoughts coil into a tangled mess that slowly strangles his sanity. With the love of his life vanishing into thin air and the finals in danger, the dark side of Corin fills the void in his mind.
Maybe this life is not for me.
He mulls over how many more friends he would lose on his way to becoming a Discore star.
Maybe I'm fighting the wrong fight,
he thinks. In the distance, the diffuse lights of the city slowly come into view.
Maybe I'm living the wrong life.
What does he mean? Wrong life?
I just don't know.